Okay, hi, I'm Chris. This is Corbin. Say hi, buddy. Just decided that today's the day he sits on my desk. Oh, he got down. You got down. Good boy. Okay, well, here we are. Anyhow, a couple minutes early, but there you are. So, it's been a week. It's been a few weeks, and in the course of it being a few weeks, I'm still trying to produce things and get them done with Corbin's help. And I am now just finishing coloring the cover for the new book. And my objective is to have that submitted to Amazon by the end of the week. So, very excited. Yeah. Other than that, we're just plugging away and getting things done, and just keeping busy. But sometimes when you're having a challenging time in your life, it's important that you just keep busy. Hi, Linda. Welcome aboard. I'm nudging you because you all look at my arm while I'm trying to do something. Stop it. Can you see him at all? Yeah, you can see his head in the thing. Okay. All right. So, yeah, the Postcard Challenge has been helpful in that regard, as well as the one-day page story thing that I do each day. And I'm finding that, keeping objectively engaged in projects is really good for distracting yourself from whatever other things that are happening in the moment. So that might be objectively distracting to you. Yeah, you know what I mean. All right, so I've got a couple things to show you. I'm just going to sharpen this here pencil because I've decided to draw a pencil crayons today. Okay. You leaving? See ya. All right, so what I've got on the screen right now is today's page. It's a... Linda says I know what you mean. I appreciate that. It's three... if I tell you, if I didn't have things written down. Well, I can't remember where I put the note. But it's basically 3 prompts in a waiting room, or 3 prompt sets in a waiting room to be called upon, and engaging with one another, having some conversations and the like. So I thought this one was fun. I thought that I would do the page as though, that there's a magical waiting room inside my noggin where these ideas just wait on standby in the storage room, and then they have to go down the chute to the idea gate, and then they're in the idea room. It's just nonsense, but fun. So this page I did digitally, and I tried to have some fun by using some pictures and silly things. And hi, Susanna, welcome aboard. And so yeah, this was good silliness. But the other thing I did today was today's postcard, which is the age of 17. So this was a clear nod for anybody that's old enough to remember that song. And if you don't know that song, you should look it up. It's a good one. But that's the second objective that I finished today, and that's on a brayer-off surface, and with some paper bonded to it and things like that. And then here's the coloring that I'm doing for the new book cover. And so basically the gist of this is that I'm going through and I'm picking out colors, and I'm putting down the flat values and things like so. And very haphazard initially, and then I get a little more refined as I go, because there's no point in having to recolor over things again and again and again. But at the beginning, you can see that clearly I'm going outside of, the lines here for the characters. This is fun. I'm enjoying this. It's really rewarding when you get to the conclusion of a project, and the final bits I find to be a treat and not to be a labor. I don't know about other people. One of the things we talked about yesterday in the stream was quantity over quality, and as you finish things, I think it's somewhat imperative to resolve those things, and one of the ways that I resolve them is by putting them out as a collection. And what I have found with the printing through online means is that, as opposed to the physical local printing that I was doing before, but printing through online means is really wonderful, because I don't have to have overwhelming amounts of stock that initially comes in that I then have to either distribute or sell off, and to cover the cost of production, because when you're doing it online, you post it online, and unless you want copies for yourself, you don't have to spend any money. It's available for people that are interested in purchasing it to do so online. And so from a creative standpoint, that is very economically ensuring. Now, if you're looking for recompense, like if you're looking for the earned income from your books, you're sort of at the mercy of, the company that's printing your books, because they don't always, whatever the payout schedule that they have for books is, you're left waiting until that comes through. And, whatever numbers they might report, or whatever other, sort of engaged activity they might have for your output, you're sort of left blind to those things until the certain period passes. Or, like for me, I can't get half of my data unless people follow my Amazon page. And I'm not saying that to petition people to do so. It's just a weird hang up with Amazon, is that half the reporting data doesn't come into me. So I have a ballpark, because I try to write down whenever somebody tells me they bought a book, but I actually don't know how many books have sold, and I've only been given money from a nominal amount of them. So, and yet at the same time, it's not necessarily my motivation for doing it. So if it were my primary motivation for publishing online, then this would be hugely problematic, because of course there would be XYZ waiting to be paid by myself, and so on and so forth. So that's a challenge. But anyhow, alphabet book, I'll be finishing coloring this tonight. All the pages are formatted, and everything's ready to go. So just got to get the cover finished and set up in the same format as one page as the last book. So yeah, exciting times, very exciting times. And thank you everybody for your support and encouragement, for those that are picking up the book or on Patreon, etc. But Linda says, well, it would be encouraging to be paid and have data. It sure would. But again, it's entirely contingent on how many people are actually following the Amazon author page. And, I have no governance over that. Like, that's, I don't know what that means. Like, if you get notifications left, right, center about things or not, I don't know. So, because of that, I can't necessarily petition, hey, everybody go do this thing, because I don't know what that's going to mean for you. If it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I know how much I post. Generally, people know how much I post. So that's what you're going to get. But on Amazon, I don't know how much solicitation is pushed through there. So, again. Okay, so today's postcard is there. today's one-page story is there. This whole thing is so that I could do a dragon as a chicken. This entire page is just to get me to the point where I can say that a dragon is basically just a giant chicken. Fun for me. This is what the formatting of the pages looks like for the new book. So this is why this one's still sitting on the screen. But lots of things are happening. Now, I'm going to switch to the overhead. So this is that I've got on my table here. It's just a piece of white vellum paper. Similar to like typewriter paper or photo or copier paper, printer paper, whatever the heck it's called now. But it's just a larger, it's 11 by 17 sheet. And so what I've got on here is some rough pencil crayon workup and watercolor on there. So this is from a project where I was doing a map for someone of, the city of London, and so that they could make appropriate plans for different parts of the city, so that they could arrange for groups that are getting together in those specific parts, from having a place to coordinate that. And so the finished one, this is just the mock-up, but the actual finished map has a sheet of metal behind it now, and it's got magnets that can sit on top, so that you don't ever have to mess with the surface with pins. So that's always good. Anyhow, what I thought I'd do with this is draw on it, because why waste this big old piece of paper? So there's the top of it. I don't see any point in wasting paper, so let's see what we got. I got the suggestion book here. Well, that's easy. Here's a suggestion from Paula. It's car karaoke. So that's a good fun start. So let's put car karaoke down on a post-it here. Hi, Marsh. Welcome aboard, sir. And this is a suggestion from Paula. Just the first thing that I saw. Karaoke? I don't know. Well, we're gonna go for that. That's how it's spelled. And that's Paula. Marsh says, I have I've got a 1-2 comic suggestion. A 1-2 punch. Detailed instructions, so I'm putting it in the book. Details instructions for a lollygagging. That's a fun one. Thanks, Marsh. Today kind of had like a sort of instructional thing going on. It was just somebody on the PT, or what do you call that? The PTA I want to call it, but I think it's just an overhead speakers. And, saying attention to all prompts, And I just thought that was a fun way to approach the idea of a bunch of these prompted, notions that are all sitting in a waiting room. And just to have this long, unending, update about remember your safety training and nonsense. So, okay. So we'll do car karaoke suggested by Paula for today. And so I haven't got too much thought here on how to go about this. Like, in all honesty, I just, I try to look at any page that I'm doing just sort of raw, so that having a prepared plan just sort of takes the sort of momentary fun out of it. So, all right, I'm going to jump over to Zoom, and we'll just start working. So I'm going to draw in a pencil crayon today, and we'll see what we can get going here. Oh, I see what's happening. All right, I'm sorry. My phone keeps lighting up, and it's because I posted something right before I did the stream, so I've done it to myself, really. So I'm going to draw right over top of this existing surface, and we're just going to utilize that as our background without being overly concerned about what this means in correlation to the surface image. It's just interesting complexity in the background, and sometimes there's just things that don't need to be too much thought to be invested in. And for me, it tends to be, I'm not overly worried about what's going on existing on the surface of a piece of drawing material beforehand. I'm going to incorporate it in no matter what and work flat on top of it. People have asked why I do that. I got it in the past, and I just got a question of that by direct message just yesterday. Why do you always kind of, how do they say it? Why do I always work with messed up paper? I think it was. I'm trying to remember it exactly. And even when you do digital stuff, the background's always a mess. That's basically, probably not word for word, but as close as I can get. And I've explained this before, that I used to find it daunting to work on a lovely piece of paper, and so I would mess it up. And then I don't have to worry. I don't have to have this concern about what if I make a mistake on the surface, because it's already done. So if I'm going to see it as a mistake's already been made. Okay, so let's just work our way across the face before I get too caught up in the hair. Hair is a fun thing to draw if you can just look at it from the angle of it's just flowing lines together, and they come out from a source, right? Once you let go of, here's a really challenging because of A, B, C, D, E, and just realize that's just lines, just flowing lines together. Let that go. Okay, so this is just a black Prismacolor pencil that I'm using today, and we're getting some. You can get some real variation in line. Marsh says he's heard people refer to it as activating the page, which I think makes a lot of sense. Sure, yeah, I guess that works. Activating the page. That sounds like a pretty grand term for. You're already the subversive truth of it is, you are already actually working on your drawing when you take the time to mess up a surface. And I mean, if it's an active thing, I'm going to modulate the surface in such a way and then start drawing, then you're already working on art, right? But if it's something where you just don't throw things like this out and you save them and just grab one of those and work on it, I guess that's an activated surface there. But otherwise, I think you're just getting right into the composition right off the hop by manipulating the surface as you start working. But that's an interesting statement, activating the surface. There's all kinds of reasoning and ideation that goes into people trying to put definable terms on process. I'm not very good at that. I think it's very clearly obvious. Linda thinks that makes sense as well, Marsh. I'm clearly not very good at that stuff myself, and I often struggle just to coherently express my thoughts, and clearly my brain is always racing ahead of what I'm saying, because oftentimes I'll start a sentence and then go back and finish the other one that I was already, mid sentence in, and then, so you'll hear a word expressed that's coming up in the next sentence because my brain's already trying to play catch up with, or my mouth's already trying to play catch up with my noggin. So, I'm not very good at putting terms to things. I'm a doer. I'm a person. Yesterday I searched for Paul's books on Amazon. I found 2. But Amazon wasn't let's see the interior mode. I unfortunately have bagged up and put Paul's books on the shelf. I know he shows them all the time on his stream, but I will try to find some. Susanna, I just don't have them available in front of me right now. They're bagged up and another shelf across the room, and I'm moving slow, so. You found 2 of them. There should be, is there not a view pages on the side? Isn't that, there is on mine. I think that's a universal thing because it wasn't something I was actively setting up myself. Amazon itself does it where it has a little display area on the side. Have I ever used distressed inks? You can get effects similar to jelly plating. I've seen a lot of these distressed inks, and I've seen a lot of people using them, but I myself never tried them. Largely because the ones that I have come across were a little expensive. And, I gotta really sort of talk myself up into spending money on new medium, new materials. I am cheap. Yeah, so I will at some point have to try them out and engage them. It's just the one place that I did find them. They were priced a little dearly, but I think I was in a very small town. But I'm sure that they've got them in St. Thomas Head. The Craft Hive. So, I'll have to check in there. Or at Bijan's in London. These are independent art supply stores that you're not going to find elsewhere. They're local shops. So, okay, so I'm drawing right off the hop. So our pages the suggestion for today's page is car karaoke, and so I'm gonna start off our page by somebody speaking to someone in the seat behind them and saying, "Oh my God, that's my favorite song." That's the entirety of the notion that I have to start this page off with. Now, I'm drawing in just a black pencil on this surface with watercolor and random pencil crayon already. And I might come in and cut in some spots with white. Like I might pull back some of the lines underneath here in specific places, but not a lot. There's not going to be a lot of that with this page. I just want to get to it and get to work on it and with the drawing part, and then I'll come in and do some cleanup after that. Okay, so here is my first person, and they're talking to someone sitting in the back seat where a song has come on the radio that they enjoy, and let the chaos of car karaoke ensue. So here's a notion. How many times have you discovered that the line that you thought that was the lyric of the song that you're singing along with turns out to be completely wrong and a little bit absurd? There's a song by Blind Melon called No Rain, and it says, "All I can say is that my life is pretty plain. I like watching the puddles gather rain." And I know somebody that used to sing, you know, da da da, top of the lungs, right along with that, and would always say, I like watching the bulls gathering. Just, you know, it's such an easy misnomer, but I love that sort of, and we all do it. Every person has done that for some song. The mistake I tend to make is I'll sing a wrong verse. I'll start singing verse 2 or something in the middle of verse 1, and I'll be like, ah, I feel silly. But everybody does something like this, with their favorite songs they want to sing along. But you'll do something like that. I've heard it's not the same as variations. Like when you hear Michael Jackson "Beat It," and I in the only lyrics that are going through your head are Weird Al Yankovic's "Eat It." Those are fun variations. I always get a kick out of that, is where you think you're going to hear one song and it turns out to be, like Weird Al version or an alternative version. There's an awful lot of songs right now being adapted by contemporary artists, and if you're not a fan of the contemporary pop music of today, you're going to hate these versions of 80s songs. Money is for Linda says, I thought Al Yankovic was singing "Money is for nothing and your checks are free." See, there we go. Does he have a variation on "Money Ain't for Nothing"? It's what would that be? What was that? If it was, I should possibly already remember that, because I've enjoyed his songs over the years. What a novel approach to parody on such an extreme level. Tim listens to it sometimes. Oh, good fun. Yeah, he's got some good ones. The thing that a lot of people, I don't think, recognize about Al Yankovic is that he's a brilliant songwriter. Like, he really is. It's aside from the complexity of these parodies that he adapts, and has to, really understand the music itself in order to be able to have it recognizable enough to do his parody with it. He's just, the fact that he's able to fit in all of these different angles on these tunes is so good. Like a Surgeon always made me laugh, because just to point out even further how much of a really brilliant parody performer he is that he did the same video as Madonna's original song. The original video had, so he's doing all of the Madonna moves. He's got the jangly jewelry, but he's dressed in a surgeon's pajamas, for lack of a better word. I'm sorry. And but he's doing the whole crawling towards the camera thing, and just wonderful. Yeah, good fun, that guy. He's been to London a couple times. I have never had the opportunity to see him. I know somebody that's seen him numerous times. But and then he does, instead of Gangster Paradise, doesn't he do Amish Paradise? Which is so completely a different direction, but you gotta love it. Alright, so I've got some momentum here. So what I'm going to do now is draw the person at the wheel. So, and then the hand resting on the steering wheel, so that when we get down to them singing along, we understand the context of the individual in the vehicle, and is that they're singing along with whatever's on the radio. So in this shot, I still call them shots in these images and these panels, because I try to think of them somewhat similar to like it's camera work, right? But in this one, I want to make sure that I've included the radio here, so I'll move over as we go. And I know that I have to complete the hair, but I'll just come back and do that. It's pretty straightforward, right? And I just want to move across the composition before, well, like while you have momentum, right? And the pencil's doing pretty good. I tend to roll my pencils as I use them, so that they don't, lose there's still a tip to it, and you don't just dull it straight out right off the hop. So, are you gonna work? Are you gonna be good enough? Are you gonna be my friend? Yeah, you'll do. All right. So I'm just putting a steering wheel in now, and away we go. I think that the wheel will push back a little bit, like so. I'm going to come in and clean up some of my edges too, as well, with the pencil after I've got enough of it down. So here's our image so far. I'm sorry if I'm moving it around too much for folks. I apologize for that. We'll get there. We'll get everything happening here. Does anybody have a particular favorite Weird Al? Marsh says that Weird Al is like dad jokes gone wild. Very true. There's a song that he wrote. It's an original piece for, I took my little brother to see Transformers a long, long time ago, and they made an animated film, 1980s. And he wrote the music for this, for at least part of it anyways. And that song made me laugh so hard, because in the lyrics it starts down, the song is called Dare to Be Stupid, and the song starts, put down that chainsaw and listen to me. Just such a great first line of a song. So yeah, I really enjoyed that song a lot. This is what I'm referring to when I say that even his original creations are very, very, very talented and very thought out. So, okay, so let's get this other hand in here, and we'll get it a little bit. It's going to be a little bit bigger because we're foreshortening a lot, right? So this arm is moving off into the distance, but this hand is going to be much closer to us to scale with the shoulder line, right? So as I'm drawing, I'm making these decisions about as the image gets larger. So then now I'm going to leave the post-it here to cut me off from expanding this panel here any further. But let's get her wrist in at the very least, and we're going to start getting the structure of this hand in. Yeah, the song is about it's just a standard length song, this Dare to Be Stupid. It's just typical. You never have that song coming today. Fortunately, we have music systems in North America now that are far more about commercial capital, output than it is about creativity. So unfortunately, you Weird Al, you'll never see a new Weird Al coming up today. Just never would. But I'm glad that we've had a Weird Al. Anyhow, this band is incredibly talented. He himself is incredibly talented. He apparently he can play darn near anything on an accordion, which is I can't attest to it having seen it, but a friend of mine that is quite the fan of him said that he could play anything. You can request anything, and he'll sit down. Okay, he starts playing. So he's got quite the lexicon of songs in his head and his memory there. I'm sure it's not any song. You know, of course it would need to be a song that he's aware of and he's familiar with. So, Linda says, I'm glad we had his songs. Oh, yeah. It's like, some people get too uptight about music. Like, I still think Tiny Tim, you know, Tiptoe Through the Tulips, I still think that song's a riot. You know, there's some people that they just adore that song. They can't stand it at all. I wonder what Weird Al's sales were like. I bet they were pretty good. Oh, they were incredibly good. Incredibly good. Like he's quite he's made quite the accommodation for himself. There is, you know, he has to pay X amount of dollars to the original artist for the songs that he's doing parodies of, I believe, to some extent. But again, I'm just reiterating things that this friend of mine who's a huge fan has told me, so I can't speak to that as absolutely true. Okay, so I'm just going to finish the under side of the wheel here and just put in some different tones into that, and then we'll come back in and I'll chop in some much neater lines. So I started with this guy. Let's see. Oh, we're not doing too bad. We're not doing too bad there for our circle. Is this gonna erase it all? Why would it do that? Why, Derwin? Don't worry, I'm calling Derwin in. Yeah, even Derwin can't make it happen. Oh well, we'll fix that anyways. And you can hear that angry buzzing of him. He's like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you, mistake. We ain't gonna have no mistakes around here. Alright, so here's our steering wheel, our steering column, and I'll put in some of the dashboard information behind, just populating the drawing with the things that are expected to be in there. But the whole gist of this first panel is, oh my gosh, did you hear this song? Do you like this? My favorite tune. So right here, it's not a lot of room, but I'm going to get the radio in here. And then this way, it's, you know, it's setting the direction and the purpose for the page itself. So let's get the start of this radio laid in here, and then I'll do around the, what do you call that? Dashboard. I think it's a dashboard. I think it is. You know. Let's see, I want to find a nice angle. This will be a nice angle. So I'm putting in the divider right now for the window, between the front window and the side, so we can see the corner now. I can pull back if people want to see the larger drawing. So here's the image as it's coming together overall, and I'm just trying to add a little dimension to the overall drawing. I'm not sure if I'm going to bother bordering or if I'm just going to go right to the edge of the paper, and you know, and then we'll decide what kind of, you know, framing there would be for the image itself. Apparently, Al Yankovic is quite a nice man too in person. I've known, again, this friend of mine that tells me all this information about Al Yankovic has done he's worked in some capacity during the tour in the area. So, you know, he says very nice. He appreciates everybody on this team and says, you know, it's a group endeavor to make the best show they can for the fans and stuff like that. That's the stuff you want to hear performers saying, you know. Okay, so I'm going to put edge of the window here. We're not going to see that side because of where the hair and back take us. But we've got the corner set up now, and we'll get the rest of the steering wheel put in here. There we go. And so if this is the shoulder line, then we'll do a nice shadow inside here for the corner itself and in behind the wheel. So I've had a fun time with the postcards. I mean, I'm switching from crazy things, from crazy songs to one another across time periods. Like 15, the start of this week, that was a Depeche Mode song. That was a debate for me to do today's page because it was a toss-up. I did it for Stevie Nicks because that's my wife's favorite singer, but I was a toss-up. It was either going to be Stevie Nicks or it was going to be Lenny and the Squigmonts, or Lenny. Yeah, I think it's Lenny and the Squigsters or something like that. And for those of you that don't know, in the 1970s, there was a show called Happy Days, and it had a spin-off, Laverne and Shirley. And the two of the supporting characters from both of those programs is Lenny and Squiggy, these two greasy guys. They had a band, and the best part of that band is that the guitarist in their band is Christopher Guest, who went on, he has a Christopher Guest comedy troupe that does Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman and all these genius films. But Michael McKean, Christopher Guest, and Harry Shearer are Spinal Tap, the band. And so it all starts with Lenny and Squiggy, which I didn't realize. But his name, the guitarist's name in the Lenny and Squiggy's band is Nigel Tufnell, which is his name in Spinal Tap. So I thought that was just wonderful when I heard that. Dick Clark on American Bandstand says, "Can you introduce yourselves? Let's hear the names of the people in the band." He goes, "Hi, my name's Nigel Tufnell." Christopher Guest isn't British at all. I mean, this bad British pastiche. But it's just good fun. There's a Swedish guy, probably not Swedish either, I like stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to sharpen this up a little bit more. And we're about through this first panel, but I think I'll come in a little bit with the white and do a couple little little pinches here and there. But let's get the air system here at the top in place, and then we'll just get the radio defined down here at the bottom, and away we go. Couldn't tell you what kind of car this is. My wife can say, look at cars and tell you what they are. We're going to look at our new vehicle. We're switching from a minivan down to a Forester, a Subaru, sort of smaller vehicle, and it's going to be fun. Yeah, we had to find a vehicle I fit in first and foremost, but it's going to be fun to go and try that out. But every vehicle I see now that's a Subaru that slightly resembles what we've looked at, I'm like, is that a Forester? I just don't know. Okay, so here's the space that I've left now for the stereo to go in. And and I think that'll take us pretty successfully through this panel. I'll just have to tighten up this information back here so that this line runs somewhat uniformly across the bottom. I think a lot of people lose sight with things like parody, you know, the lighter side of, or MASH's adaptation, or not MASH's, Mad Magazine's adaptations of popular films of the day. You know, it's incredibly complex to not only do renderings that recognizably look like the actors that are in those films, but to get basically getting the gist of the film in a very limited amount of space. It's this sort of fantastic way to synopsize a film and to see the, you know, some of the absurd points in it, like, and then all of us went canoeing again, you know, like just little jokes like that. So doing it in music is just as, if not more complicated. Just a different form of expression. Putting in some buttons. Think of a camera, yeah. So just building up this dash and getting some of the interesting shapes together in it. And put another wheel down below. And then we'll put interesting little shapes down there. Okay, so here is how it's all coming together now. And you know, it gets it's good fun. Good fun to just sort of draw with a pencil crayon and just go for it and pick and choose your marks as you go. But it's coming along pretty quickly, this one. Chris says, "Hiya." I didn't know that, Linda says. Now you know. And knowing is half the battles. Okay, so here's our first panel. I like the Stevie Nicks postcard. She's one of my favorites, says Chris. Oh, well, that's wonderful. Thank you. I'm glad to hear it. Can you hear that in your head? Because we have a lot of fun with that when we're in the car. When Lori puts on the Edge of 17. Because I always find that who's ever in the car goes, who? Just so silly. Sings like that's a wonderful thing about how Stevie Nicks writes music, is that she leaves such ample opportunity for backup lines and voices, and it's just as important as the lead lines. Chris says, "Yes, I sang it. That's so good." Okay, so let's get the last little bit for the shape of her hair here. And then I'm going to come in a second and start cutting out a couple, there we are for the top, a couple little spaces, a couple little lines, see how this works. I don't know if this guy's going to be any good post-up, so I may just switch to the Sharpie, the oil-based Sharpie. Chris says, now I need to play the CD. Let's get, before I forget, almost forgot something here. So part of the idea is that she is talking into the rear view mirror at somebody in the back seat, and I've almost forgot to draw this in, so Okay. There we go. And let's put a horizon, really random and loose horizon image outside the window. Okay. So today's prompt is car karaoke from Paula. I don't know how well that's coming out. So one of our sons had to work about 16 hours one day this week because he is in construction and they're building a major underpass in the city here for people to get past a train that can shut down an entire part of town whenever the train goes by, because it's long overdue to have a bridge above or a tunnel below to not, you know, it's a major egress of the street, and it's just the train comes by and that's it. You might have wanted to have taken another way home. So there was a huge torrential downpour here, and because they haven't got the pumps built in, you know, fully yet, it flooded the whole construction site, and so now the 2 lanes of traffic that they have open for things to continue on were shut down as well. So, you know, soon enough, but somehow I'm predicting the future. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. Now it's spitting out the hot fire. I was listening to Styx earlier today. I don't know what got me in the mood to listen to old Styx records, but I did. Well, you know, CDs, records. I'm not hip enough to listen to records. It's absurd what people pay for old records now. Okay, so here's pulling back a little bit on some of the watercolor. I'll pull the zoom up here. It's still a little wet, but I'm trying to diffuse some of these lines like so that were already in there, just so that they don't break the eye up too much in the composition. So that's why I'm doing that. You know, like up here in the forehead, we don't need her, you know, forehead marred halfway across. It's just confusing to the viewer. Yeah, so that's come together. That's come together pretty quick. I'm pleased with it. Now, mind you, these lines still come through. I've just diffused them, really. And not much more than that. There's one. There's one. There's one. There we go. I'm going to come back over this guy again. See how well that takes that down. So I'll pull back out, and then here's the first, basically the first panel. I've got no plans for color or anything like that as of yet. I'm just drawing, but there's our panel 1 for car karaoke as suggested by Paula. So basically the intention is the driver is saying to the person in the back seat, oh my gosh, the song coming on the radio is my favorite. And so I want to pursue this idea of you should feel free to sing along type thing. So I think that the next image is I'm going to draw here is going to be of our person just bellowing, just bellowing aloud. So there's our first panel drawn in, and all we've used is a pencil and a oil-based Sharpie on previously penciled and watercolored paper. Chris says, what song will I choose? Well, I think I'm going to choose... See, the idea I have is that perhaps as they start, singing the wrong lyrics, they turn the dial and to the next station. Oh, this one. And then they start singing the wrong lyrics for that one, and then they'll turn it one more time. And I think I can get singing, turning the dial, another shot of, because the page is 11 by 17, so singing, turning the dial, and then singing along with that song, or and then maybe having them look down as though they're turning the dial, like for that one, and then maybe just having it close out with singing at least one more song. But all of them are going to be the wrong lyrics, because to me that's far more interesting than being the right ones. Tighten my pencil up a little bit there. Chris says, a kid sitting in the back covering his or her ears. Well, parent music versus kid music is fun. We were driving on the highway and the kids were complaining about old people music, and so that don't make us pull out the big guns was our response to that for the kids. And the big guns is we put on the Best of Air Supply, and Lori and I were just bellowing along to it. And is this a married couple? One of the kids asked us, is this a married couple that's singing it? And I went, nope, it's a couple of Australian dudes. Oh yeah, but they can still be a couple, because that's what the kids think. And no, married guys with kids, I believe. And it's just irritated our kids to no end as we're driving along the highway, singing "I'm All Out of Love." Yeah, okay, that makes me happier about the expression "air supply," And to make it even worse, I was singing the short guys parts. So, yeah. Okay, I'm doing my best to stream as much as I can today, but I have been dealing with not feeling good all week, so I'm probably going to end up cutting it short. But let's work out at the very least what is going to be happening with this page. So if this is... So here's our main panel across the top of this song, right? And then there's going to be the howling right here. That's what I'm going to call it. And I think I can do this one of two ways. I can either do two smaller panels and the tune in, and then the intrigue face, like, ooh, I love this one. And one of the things that it can be done is additional howling here, and the bottom panel can be back to the tuning in, as looking down as they're driving. And so whereas this one is literally just on a dial. So I think that's the direction that I'm going to take with today's page. Yeah, so I'll have this done for tomorrow. I'm gonna have to sign out early because I'm a little worn out. But there's our first panel. And it's going pretty well. I'm happy with it, but if by all means, please, people, feel free to keep putting in the one-page story suggestions, or even if it's just 3 words or a piece of dialogue or a random idea. You're always welcome to put it in the chat or in the comments here or on any of the other social media posts that I have. You can find all those on my link tree now. that's on all of my social media. So, yeah. Chris says, I'll see you Friday. We won't be here tomorrow. Aaron's, oh, well, have a good day and safe traveling, Chris. I'll give you the final peek at the book, I suppose, by the end of the week. But the next book will be submitted to Amazon by Friday. So we're very, very, very excited. So, with all that jazz in mind, thank you very much for hanging out, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST. In the meantime, go make something. All right? And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.